Hi everybody, welcome to the Yoga by Candace YouTube channel. I've been thinking about back pain and how I've definitely had back pain in my life, and also how I have learned this one move that has helped with my back pain, but it's also helped teach me a skill that I've been more cognizant of when I practice vinyasa yoga, which has also saved my back. So this is going to be a short and sweet video to tell you all about what that one exercise is and the skill that you'll be able to do after it to help you in your yoga practice. So if you're experiencing back pain, this is for you. Okay, so the exercise is called dead bugs. I've probably taught this before, but I recently learned a new way to teach it that I think better explains how to do it and will yield better results. So before we get into it, I need to explain why it's so important. When you are practicing dead bugs, you have to do what is called a core brace. A core brace is extremely important anytime you're putting any kind of load on the spine, or anytime you're moving in a way where you want your spine, particularly your lumbar spine, to have some support. So what I mean by that is, like, if you're hanging out on the couch, you're just watching TV, relaxing, you're not gonna have a core brace. You're just kind of a blob on the couch. But if you are having to dash after something very fast and you have to run very fast, you know that in order to kind of be the most efficient runner and get there as quickly as you can, you've got to kind of squeeze everything very tight and go, go, go. Or if you were going to lift up, a heavy object like a couch, for example, a core brace and knowing how to do a core brace would be really beneficial so that your spine has some support. And I recently discovered that when you do a core brace, as you transition from, say, downward dog, stepping to the front of the mat, your spine has a lot more stability and it's easier to get to the front of the mat and feels a lot better as well. So I want to teach you a little bit about the core brace. I want to teach you how to do dead bugs, which will help to strengthen your core and promote that mind-muscle awareness of the core brace. And then I'd like to show you an example of how it feels in the yoga practice. So with the yoga brace, you have kind of I like to think of it as levels. So level 1, not much is happening. Level 2 is like if you're out for a jog. Level 5 is if you are, picking up your dog, which is maybe 40 pounds. Level 10 is like you're trying to flip a tire. Have you ever seen those workouts where you're outside and you've got this massive tire and you're trying to flip this 150-pound tire? That's when you're doing level 10. So we can control the intensity of the core brace. Our core, generally, I think a lot of people think of the core as just the six-pack part of the core, but we have 4 parts to the core. You have the rectus abdominis, which is that six-pack part, but that six-pack part is not just right here, it goes all the way down to the pubic bone. We also have the internal and external obliques, which are located here. And then we have the transverse abdominis, which goes all the way around. It's kind of like a girdle, I guess you could compare it to. So when we contract, and I have to be careful about how I explain that, but when we activate those muscles for a core brace, it's kind of like all 4 parts of the core are giving the spine a hug or supporting it in some kind of way so that the spine has more stability and isn't just kind of like flopping around. This is your lumbar spine, flopping around without the core brace, okay? The upper part of the spine is protected by the rib cage, but the lower part of the spine is protected by muscle, and the muscle that is there, the core muscles, right? So how do we activate them to support the spine? I think a lot of times people are like, activate your core, and immediately we suck in our stomach and make it really tight, right? But the core brace is more of a outward push, a 360-degree outwardness, and it's I'm going to explain how to do it. I'm going to show you how to do it and teach you how to do it, but it's kind of hard to explain. So let me just try to like explain in words. It's hard to do, but I can explain how to do it. So let's try that approach. So the way I was taught this, if you come up onto your shins and you take your thumbs and you dig them into your sides. So this is between my lowest rib and my hip point. So it's not a very big space. Imagine you can let your belly be kind of loose. Imagine you can push your thumbs into your spine. You're not gonna be able to touch your spine, but that's where you're aiming for, okay? So you're pushing, 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 so far into the middle you might run into your spine. Okay, from here, give a little cough, go. And you'll feel your obliques push out into your thumbs. Try it again. Now try to do this a couple times without coughing. Now try to do this and hold it, and that's the core brace. So let's give that a try. Now as you hold it, tap your fingers around the rectus abdominis and even into the low back by the kidneys, like where your lowest ribs are, and see if you can keep that all kind of puffed out. That's the core brace. Now imagine lifting something heavy. So that's the core brace that we're trying to achieve. A lot of times, I mean, I know for me, I was not doing that for many, 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 many years. So when I finally learned how to do it, even though I could do it just like you and I did it just now, to try to do it as I worked out or as I practiced yoga was really, really a challenge. So that's where the dead bugs come in, because they're a really good way to teach you how to hold the core brace as you move your body and do something else. It's kind of like learning to do one of these, which you can see I can't really do either. Okay, so come down onto your back and we'll give that a try. So first you want to just take a couple deep breaths in and out through your nose, and you want to think about belly breathing. So you don't want to have your ribs lift up. You want to have your stomach lift first. And just notice the full breath. Notice where you're directing your breath, because you can start it feeling it in the belly, which is what we want, but you could also notice it starting through the chest, and that's what we don't want. So now you'll want to take a breath in. You can use your thumbs once again, dig them into your sides. Take a breath in. And then go ahead and push out with the obliques. It's a down and an outward. Intra-abdominal pressure is what it's called. And you can tap, tap, tap your fingers just to make sure, especially around the low ribs, around the back, to make sure that you're super tight. So you're not sucking in, you're actually kind of pushing down and out. Okay, now try to keep this as you lift your arms up to the ceiling, but then go ahead and reach a little bit more so that your shoulders are off the ground. So head is down on the ground, but the shoulders are off, and you're continually trying to reach for something just out of reach while holding the core brace. And if you're not sure if you've lost the core brace, go ahead and tap, 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 just to find that awareness and come back to it. Now, lift both legs so that the shins are parallel with the ground. Toes are drawn back towards your shins. You're continuing to reach, reach, reach with your hands. Maybe tap, tap, tapping all along to make sure that you've got this core brace. It's a continual effort to reach, reach, reach. Draw the toes towards the shins. The low back is glued to the ground because of the core brace. And then from here, you can extend your left leg and right arm. Now you might notice the core brace leaves. And if that's the case, come back to center and try again. Slowly come back up. Slowly extend your left arm, right leg, spread the toes, toes back towards the shins. You'll feel your stomach really working. Come back to center. One more time each side. Come back to center. So you just want to have your leg long. It doesn't even matter how low you get it. Just have it really long. Kick through the heel, toes back towards the shins, and then come back to center. Woo! So that is the core brace, and that's a really good exercise to help you develop the mind-body awareness of holding the core brace while moving. So like I said, there are intensities to it. If you're picking up something really heavy, then you're gonna be way up there with the intensity that you use for your core brace. And if you are just relaxing or you're taking a little walk from the kitchen to the living room, you're not using much of a core brace. When we transition in yoga from, upward dog to downward dog, a lot of times people get kind of a sharp pain in their back, and that can be attributed to the low back not having any support. So the support comes from not only the core strength, but also the core brace. So let's try that. Let's come from an up dog position. So you can start here on all fours. Find that core brace, and you might have to tap, tap, tap to see if you've got it. And then extend your legs back. You have a little bit of a core brace as you come into an upward facing dog. So you feel this down and this downward push and this outward push through the core. And then you can roll over your toes, lift your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. And just notice if you felt any difference there. Now find a little bit of a core brace here, because now we are about to step to the front of the mat and transition. Before we do that, let's sweep the right leg up and back. So find the core brace first, and again, if you need to tap, go for it. Take one arm and go for it. Lift the leg up and back. Notice if you notice a difference. Keep that core brace as you rise up onto the ball of the left foot. Begin to come forward, drawing the knee in towards the chest and stepping forward. I know for a lot of people, it might help you not to get stuck. So many people lift up and they step forward and they get stuck right about here and they have to help themselves come forward. I think that holding a gentle core brace will help to bring that foot further forward on the mat. And then let's lift the back knee, stabilize yourself, find the core brace, gentle core brace, and then rise up. And just notice the ease, if there's any difference in the ease with which you find these movements. Come back down into a plank, find the core brace, go back. Lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Find the core brace and sweep the left leg up. Rise up onto the ball of the foot, step the left leg towards the front of the mat. Rise up onto the fingers. Find your sense of balance, find the core brace, and rise up. So anytime the spine is moving, in a transitional portion of the class, you might want to have a little bit of a core brace just to protect the lumbar spine. You don't need to have a core brace when you are doing Shavasana. You don't need to have much of a core brace when you are doing those more restorative poses. But for the transitions and the vinyasa practice, I think it might really help some people. So give that a try. And then with regards to the back, for people who experience back pain, maybe you sit for long periods of time throughout the day, incorporating those dead bugs, going really slow, just like we did in this video today, incorporating those a couple times throughout the week can be really beneficial in finding that mind-body connection. Because when you sit at your desk, I know a lot of people sit with their back against the chair. That kind of tells your body you don't need the core brace. So you wind up just like slumping a bit and putting all of your body is sort of relaxed into the chair. When you sit on the edge of a chair, your back doesn't have much support from anything, so you need to have a little bit of a core brace, and it's a good idea to do that. It's like a 20 to 30% kind of contraction here. And that's what will help your core stabilizing muscles to do the work of stabilizing your spine, so that when you are sitting and typing, you have some support for your low back. So if you're somebody who sits with your back against the computer chair, try taking your seat a little bit more forward. Make sure you're not too much in an anterior tilt, because that will put some pressure on the low back as well, but try to find a somewhat neutral-ish position with the pelvis, and then incorporate a little bit of a core brace, and that will help to give you some stability and build core strength. And then the spine doesn't have to take the brunt of so much force all the time. So I hope this video is helpful to you. Let me know what you think. Don't forget, you can download my app. It's called Yoga by Candace, one word, within the App Store, anywhere you download apps. And I'll see you very soon here on the Yoga by Candace YouTube channel.